Marie with the Philly African American Book Club. And today, our guest author is Reea Rodney. Hello, Reea. How are you?
Hi.
I just wanted, can you hear me? Okay, I see you. So I just wanted to invite you to our book club because I wanted to discuss your book that you have out. So, what is the name of your book?
Well, actually, I have several books.
Okay.
So I have written a combination of probably 17 books.
Wow.
Very first book, and the name of this book is Juniper and Rose, Sisters First and Best Friend Forever. And this book, I knew right away that I was going to publish books. This is the first book in the Juniper and Rose series. So I went ahead and I created my own publishing company.
Okay.
So the following year, which was 2017, I published the second book in the Juniper and Rose series, along with 8 other books. So that year, I published 9 books. So I'll just pause there for a minute and said, people might say, why so many books? During that time when God told me to write, I was very ill. And I had a desire to be a pediatric nurse. And when I got ill, I was very depressed about it and heartbroken because I was in so much of pain. I know that wasn't going to be my future anymore. But then God told me that I could advocate and care for kids by writing. For the first year and a half, I went through the mix, the in and the out. And by the second year, I had the know-how. And while it became my passion, it was also very therapeutic for me.
Mm-hmm.
And everything that I want to share with kids, God will just impart into me, and I was just eager. So basically, that's where my first 2 books came about. And during that time when I was becoming an author, I didn't have the confidence in myself to even be an author because I had limitation, or so I thought.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't have the confidence. My self-esteem was down. I have a speech impediment. I stutter. Although people tell me all the time, I don't hear it.
Here.
Well, I do.
Mm-hmm.
It's a part of me. I have a lot of techniques that I use to help me with my speaking. There are times when my speech will be challenging, and because of that, I would, often not feel confident. So I hire a life coach just to help me boost myself and to build that confidence, because if you're an author,
Mm-hmm.
you're automatically a speaker.
Right.
You have to be reading and presenting. And I dreaded reading. I did not like to read. It stemmed all the way from my childhood. So I decided after I worked on me, I wanted to also be a life coach for children and to help them develop, this skill set to help them navigate. So they wouldn't be like me, just sitting in the back line, don't want to raise my hand, I don't want to talk, because that wasn't a good time for me. And as an adult, it was affecting me. And that was when I became a life coach. I took the course, I did the certification, I mentor with my coach so that I could be seasoned and know how to do it. And that was when I wrote my personal development workbook series for children. And this series is a combination of 6 books and a journal, which I'll show you in a bit. And it focuses on the topic self-esteem, self-talk, self-confidence, self-love, self-celebration, and bullying.
Mm-hmm.
So this is more, I have it in the wrong, uniquely made and exceptionally awesome. So kids will learn about self-esteem in the book. All the book has the same format. They will learn about the topic, and then there's exercises throughout the book so that they could do. And I've always made sure to include the parents, because while I'm empowering the children, it's important that the parents know how to.
Mm-hmm.
And while we have some parents who know how to, we have parents who don't know how to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so then the other book is I Am Who I Say I Am. This is my self-talk workbook. And then I am fearless, selfless, and destined for greatness. This is self-confidence. Standing in our greatness, this is self-love. If you are happy and you know it, clap your hand. This is self-celebration. And it's so important, you know, we as adults, sometimes we cannot praise ourselves, we cannot celebrate ourselves, we feel that we're being selfish. But if you take it a little bit further, sometimes we accomplish things in life and we don't take the time to celebrate it. And sometimes even when we fail, we have to understand that it's teaching us, and we must be able to still celebrate just the fact that we tried. And that in itself will help kids to build their overall self-esteem and their confidence and all these things, right? And then we have bully here, bully there, do you care? This is about bullying.
Please.
So with these 6 books, my philosophy behind it and what God had shared with me, and I stand firm with it and I advocate about it, is if we have children who have positive self-esteem, meaning that they think about themselves in a good way, they have positive self-talk, they speak about themselves positively, they think about themselves positively. We have children who are highly confident in themselves and in their abilities. We have kids who love themselves from the inside and the outside. And if we have kids who know to celebrate their big and small wins, also their successes and their failure. I strongly believe that we will be able to tackle 3 problems that children face in society, in the schools, and even at home. Number 1, if we leave out the medical aspect of it, because there is a medical component for kids who bully, that's if a kid have a behavioral issue with a chemical imbalance and they cannot control themselves. But aside from that, we have children who bully because they are broken. They lack navigation, confidence, and they feel the only way they can belong is to be mean. And sometimes, oftentimes, these children, they experience the bullying at home or among their family member. And from a child, it was like play. Sometimes it can mimic that. Sometimes you have an older sibling. Or sad to say, you have abusive parents. So as a result, that's the only way they know to communicate. And these kids don't have that love for themselves. So if we have kids, for that child who is the bully, introducing him or her to this concept and to this teaching, they're going to learn to appreciate themselves and see themselves differently. And if you love yourself, if you value yourself, if you wouldn't want to do anything to hurt yourself. And bullying somebody could get you in trouble, could get you in jail, it could get you expelled, it could get you hurt. It also could tarnish your reputation. So you will start to think about yourself differently. Also, if you have that love and respect for yourself, you're going to have it for others because you're going to learn to value others. Now let's look at this child who are the kid who's always been bullied. They walk around literally with no confidence. They're like a magnet for bullies because bullies just look at them and they're drawn to them. Oh, I could pick on him. So this child who developed these skills through my coaching, through my books, they are going to now develop a shield. They're going to have a shield now that is going to stand as a defense because that kid who perhaps would have troubled them will see them differently, confident, right? So they're going to be like, not him. So in that aspect, this could really curb the bullying, right? In the home and in the school. Secondly, we have the mental health aspect. We have kids who, because of the extreme low self-esteem and lack of confidence, they feel like they don't belong, they feel nobody loves them, they're not good enough, they feel worthless, and as a result, they isolate themselves. They become depressed. If they don't have the skills to navigate through the classroom like me, I used to suck my thumb and pull all my hair out. I know as an adult now that was anxiety, right? So they're gonna now have that mental effect of the lack of these skills, confidence, and so forth. And so if we have kids who feel empowered, who are confident, who love themselves, then we are also going to curb the mental aspect that the mental effect of lack of confidence and these skills. And then lastly, we have suicide. Children as young as 7 years old are trying to kill themselves, some being successful. 9, 10-year-olds. Now, at every age bracket, there is an amount, but can you imagine a 7 to 10-year-old thinking about killing themselves? That comes again, if we take away the mental aspect, if this child perhaps has some sort of mental disorder, because some kids do have it, right? That's because they feel worthless. They don't have that confidence. They feel nobody loves them. They feel they will not be missed. And they feel it's the only possible choice to not be here. So for those kids as well, this teaching, this philosophy, I strongly believe will help, again, curb the suicide related to kids who lack confidence, who lack self-worth and values, right? So that is where my passion came, and I wrote those 6 books. I'm gonna pause, give you a second to ask a question, because it could be overwhelming, it's a lot.
I can tell with you just speaking that this is your passion and your calling, because you're so endearing. Like, I feel it through the screen how much this means to you. And I think it's amazing how you took a personal feeling that you were having because you wanted to be a nurse, you couldn't be a nurse, and you just developed these books, social media. But this is awesome.
Thank you. First I give credit to God. I said anybody who knows me wants me to be in their presence. God is never discounted. He's the first person. But I'm very passionate because of my childhood. I was not the child who had parents who knew how to embrace and love me. I did not grow up in a home where I saw that. In fact, I saw the opposite. I was that child who was called dumb and stupid. I know how that affected me. I was that child that when I come to do my reading, the belt was already waiting because it was certain I was going to get something wrong, So I understood from a personal point of view how this affects children. Besides for that, my job in this country when I migrated here for 20 years, I was, although it's a fancy name, a child care specialist, it's the generic simple name is that I was a nanny. And I've cared for more than 20 plus kids. So I'm seeing it from the perspective of a child who had the lack because my parents didn't know how to nurture me. They didn't have the love that they should have now. They are very good parents and excellent grandparents. They were also young. My mom had me at 16. She had my sister at 15. She went on to have 8 of us. So they were young and lacking knowledge, right? Totally different from now, but it's still part of my story. So I could see it from the perspective of being that child who was neglected or who was abused or who had that lack. And then being a caregiver, working for these blue eyes, freckled face, blonde hair, brunette, you name it, kids who I love dearly, nurturing them from baby to 6, 7, 8 years, have everything that they need, but they will look themselves in the mirror and say, I'm not beautiful enough. This dress don't make me look good. I don't have enough muscle. And I would always be working on my kids because I'm a fixer-upper. When I get a job and my kids have something, I'm sad to know that they need speech therapy or they need feeding therapy. But I have kids who will have special needs issues. And I'll get right to work on it because it's my passion. And I would turn those issues into triumph. But I'm sharing that to say that I came to realize that it's not about where we come from. This is something that affects children and adults all over. So even the kids who in the home, the home where they have no lack, they still struggle. They still struggle. So I'm very passionate about that from both aspects. And I'm passionate because I know how it is to be that child who struggled. I know how it is from the parent perspective that I saw my parents and know it have parents very similar to that out there. Also, I have my own children. I have 3 kids. Well, I still say kids, but they sort of grown. My daughter is 24. My son is 19. And then I have my other son who I adopted. He's my son's best friend. And his parents had died, and I adopted him. So all my son too, he's 19 as well. So I have young adults. But, before they got old, they were young. And one of my son, my biological son, he had an IEP. He got in a car accident and he had to be retaught everything at 11. And he's off to college now. He's making his second year and he's doing great. But at that time, around 11, that wasn't a possibility because he literally forgot everything and had to be retaught. So I had to work with my children through the challenges, the ups and downs. My parenthood was challenged, my parenting skills. I also learned, right? Being a child care aide in the homes of, the traditional white American homes, I also learned a lot. I also saw things that I know that need to change. So I'm coming from a place of experience, that personal experience on every different level. So I'm very passionate about this.
So how do you get your book out to the masses, or you're in bookstores? Like, how do you push your book out there?
Well, to be very honest, it's just Amazon, or I used to do a lot of vending events, and I also host my own events. Okay. This year with COVID, of course, everything was sort of like standstill. In the beginning, when I started as an author. I was an author. Now I write more to facilitate my coaching. So every book that I have, it focuses on meaningful topics for kids. So a lot of the times when I have my coaching events and stuff like that, my book is always on display because it mimics what I coach. And then I would promote on Amazon, but to be quite honest, I sort of like, after a while, it's just too much books to manage, to promote. And ever so often I'll share, hey guys, don't forget to get my books, and I'll sell a few books. But my passion is more with the coaching, and the books is what I can present. So with that, that's how I really sell more books. So it's not in any bookstore, only because I haven't really went out there and pursued that. Okay. But on Amazon, and I know Amazon, I have many different distribution. It's on Barnes and Noble. It's on the different Amazon platform in Germany and Japan and all these different places. So my book, people will just, most of the time when it's sell on Amazon, it's just accidental finding, like people went and they saw it and they purchased it. When I'm doing a promotion, I will know what my book sold because I'm promoting it. Okay. Right? Like 3 weeks ago, I had a promotion, not even a promotion. I did the Amazon ranking, and I figured out how much books I need to sell to become a bestseller. Mm-hmm. And I promote that book on that Sunday. I sold 50 something books. Mm-hmm. And I became 2 times Amazon bestseller. 2 of my books hit Amazon bestseller list, like ranking in like the second book, So now I've just inherited that title of being an Amazon bestseller. So while I'm passionate, I'm learning. I've been doing it for a while now. I definitely know the publishing market is not my area of expertise, but I'm a people person, Yeah.
I think that's awesome how I'm just in awe. I was only expecting for you to just bring out one book when you was bringing out all those books.
I thought you actually saw that I posted, I'm an author of like 17 books. So I also have this book. I only have it in the hardcover copy. Okay. This book is about self-confidence. And for me, I'm big with diversity. I must say that. Mm-hmm. I am not the author or the person who would say I'm a Black woman or a Black person or a white person. I'm only going to write no. I am for every kid. And sometimes it's my biggest challenge because anything I'm writing or doing, I want to see it including everyone.
Right.
And I'm very passionate about that. So this book was inspired by my little boy I used to take care of. His name was Henry, but we call him Hank. And he had a little bit of confidence issue. He had my little Maddie's older sister, she was very aggressive. So she kind of was like, even though she's a sweet kid, she challenged him, and he's more of an introvert. Mm-hmm. So I would work on him with his self-confidence. And when I wrote this book, I said to him, you are tough. You are a boy with a big personality and a big imagination and lots of confidence. So this was a way of also helping him boost his confidence because he really took on the role as Tuck.
Okay.
And it's dedicated to him. But this is a book, it's a day in the character life with his mom. When I write again, I try to envision every family setting. So while it was only Tuck and his mom and his best friends in the story, if a child is in a home with a single parent, then this book mimics that. It reflects that. If the child is in a home with two parents, well, daddy went to work. He left early already. Perhaps daddy's on a business trip, right? So that parent could tailor it to suit their home, right? If it's a home with a one parent and perhaps it's a dad instead of a mom, it doesn't matter if the book show the mom, because you could say, hey son, this family just like us. He has one parent. He has a mom, but you have a dad. You know, so I'm very thoughtful. I think deep because I want every kid to see themselves. In this book, his best friend is Abigail, who is a black little girl, and Thomas, who is Asian or Chinese. You know, a kid who's Asian or Chinese, they could say it's me. You know, in the book, the teacher is a black woman. His favorite teacher. The ice cream parlor that he loves to go to, the owner, it's a black man. You know, I try to make, the family settings like really show up the community feel, so I put a lot of these, I really think about when I write. Um, some people might appreciate it, some people don't, and it's fine. In Juniper and Rose, they are from a biracial family.
Okay.
At first, that wasn't where I was going. But then I came into a new community to work, and one day I was at the park, and all I saw was diversity, biracial family, multiracial family. I saw Indian with white and white with black, and it was so colorful. And I was like, wait a minute. So I did some research. I went to Barnes and Noble, and it didn't have books reflecting that 4 years ago at all. And I realized that the traditional family setting has changed. It's no longer to each with its own kind anymore, right? It's mixture.
Yeah.
And that is to be embraced, right? So as a result of that, I decided I want to make this family a biracial, because not only would it will touch the kids who are from that home setting, also it's another market that wasn't touched as yet. So it's a way to feed into that market. So it was, and then this book, one of the topics in it, because there's many topics can come from it, is that being different is good. Everyone is different. Respect people's differences. So it could also tie in with the storyline. Now, because I'm a woman of color, of course, the woman had to be black. That is why.
Okay.
Now, my husband is a strong black man. It's not about that. It's just about diversity.
Right.
And, just make it, so Juniper looks a lot like the mom. Rose looks a lot like the dad.
Yes.
And again, this could be children don't see color.
Right.
So you could read this book and you don't even have to tell the kid, hey, look, it's a black and a white. No, they don't see that. Yeah. But if your home is a multiracial home where it's a black and a white, or perhaps an Indian and a white, or a Filipino, whatever, you could highlight and point that out and say, hey, this family's like us, and it's an open dialogue. So again, it's depending on the situation and so forth. There's still more. So let me ask you, are you an author? Have you written books?
Not yet. I have one in mind, but I haven't penned it yet. But that's my goal for 2021.
Let me know if you need help, because I'm also a book coach. I've been helping people. I've helped a few authors, but in 2021, I'm taking it on now as doing it as more full blown. Okay. So I'm like trying to perhaps get like probably 10, 15 clients for the year. Okay. Among the other things that I'm doing. So let me know if you need help.
I definitely will keep you in mind, and I appreciate you offering that to me.
Yeah.
But our time has ended, and I wanted to tell you, I got more out of this conversation than I thought I was going to get. I really, really enjoyed this conversation, and I want to thank you so much for your time. And I just want you to let people know again what your website is, what your Facebook page is, if you have Instagram.
Sure. Yeah, sure. So my website is www.coachreea.com.
Okay.
And you can find me on Instagram, Dara Publishing, or Dara Wisdom and Empowerment Coaching. So I have two Instagram for my publishing and my coaching. And the same for Facebook. At Facebook is at Reea Rodney 1
Okay.
and Dara Publishing.
Okay.
So,
All right. I want to thank you again so much for your time. I appreciate it. And you said how old is your oldest child?
24.
Girl, you sitting up here looking like you 25. 24.
I'm 42.
You don't look it. You don't even.
Thank you. I thank God every day for that.
It.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
It was a pleasure being on. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. And
yes, I know it's a whole lot. Like we didn't even get to 4 books. So to be continued.
Yes, to be continued. I look forward to the next conversation.